Shalom Aleichem. The Sikha of Noach Beis is probably one of the most famous Sikhas in the Sikhas, all about the scientific revolution of the 1800s, and that was predicted by the Zohar, is based on four Sikhas that the Rebbe said, two in the year 1966, or 65, 66, and the other one in 76, 77, two Farbrengens in that Hebrew year. And I went through all the four Farbrengens, just trying to find some interesting nuggets that maybe didn't make it into the Sikha. And something, especially from the first Sikha, there's some beautiful insights that I think are worth sharing. Now, this Sikha is from Shabbos Parshas Miketz, Tafshin Chavav Chanukah. In this Farbrengen, the Rebbe said a famous Sikha about what was the Nes Chanukah, was it 7 days, 8 days, the oil, but etc. Then the Rebbe went on and spoke about that. We said that, as you remember the Sikha of Chanukah, that it was a miracle, Nimna Nimnois, impossible, that Gashmis didn't take any place. So the Rebbe says that even when you learn Chachmas Chitzonius, not only Chachmas Alikis, even when you learn secular knowledge, you have to put your Metzias away, and then you're able to have an insight. The Rebbe over there explored early in the Sikha that you could put a lot of effort into understanding something, and then one morning you wake up and it just pops into your head. Sometimes it's about losing yourself, and then the idea comes. Now, the Rebbe says we could explain why do you need bittul even in Chachmas Chitzonius. Afshazo, seemingly it's a Chachma Yavanis. It's the Chachma Yavanis, which is anti or against the Chachma Lekis. So the Rebbe says Achdus, the Indian of Achdus, not Yachid, but Achdus, meaning that even though there's a lot of things, there's still one, unlike Yachid, which doesn't even accept the fact that there's other things. So Tamadavar, because the Dibui comes from Shita Shalamayla, so even when things go into many details, there's still Achdus Pshuta. However, in Yachid, there's not even a Shaykhis to have a Dibui. So because Mitzad Pshitos Shalamayla, there's Dibui, so from that Dibui comes Lu'umazeh. As the Chazal say in Breishis Rabbah, when Nebishah says Nasa Adam, whoever wants to make a mistake and think there was Nasa, there was many creators can say it. However, because Libri Gufa comes from Achdus Pshuta, so it means that Achdus Pshuta could permeate in everything, and therefore in Chachmas Chitzonius, Chachmas Yavan, there is bittul, because that comes from the Achdus of the Eibishter. Ubipratius, yes, the Rebbe says, the beginning of everything in this world is Metzias of Yisrael. B'reishis b'shvil Yisrael shenikra reishis. And because Yisrael not only have a Nefesh Elokis, they have a Nefesh Bahamis, Nefesh Ativis. So that's nishtalshal in the world that there's also Tivis, there's Lumazeh. This itself, that you didn't have a Nefesh Elokis and Nefesh Bahamis, is because Lamaila, there's not only Havaya, there's also Alikim Gematria Teva, and even higher by Atzmus, that Amitis Hayachilas, the true ability, the definition of ability is there could be two things, and ultimately they're from one Eibishter, and that's from Samach Vav, and from there it comes two things: Havaya Lekim, Nefesh Elokis, Nefesh Bahamis. So therefore, there's bittul even in Chachmas Chitzonius. That is Mitzad HaShoresh, but Begalui L'Umazeh could be a thing that is opposite, and Dafka when they're strong, we're weak, and the other way around, Loimla and Yenos. But nevertheless, it's obvious that Seif Kol Seif, Vetzich Oisfe, and will be accomplished, that the victory will be on Echad Emes, and will be Yiskalos Apshuta. And this is an answer to the nations of the world, that also they have the Indian of Achdus. It's some form of monotheism. So what's the Chiddush about the Achdus of Bnei Yisrael? Because the Achdus Hapshitus is Dafka by Bnei Yisrael. And therefore they get it in a bit of a less pure level in their reality. And so it is historically. The Chachmei Umas Ha'olam got the Indian of Achdus from Chachmei Yisrael. As we find, and the Rebbe quotes the Farbrengens and Seder HaDoros, etc., that the teacher of Aristu, I think it's Plato, that was in the time of Yirmiyahu and Navi Churban Bayis Rishon, And when Yirmiyah came down to Mitzrayim together with Bnei Yisrael, those basically what happened was that the people who stayed over in Eretz Yisrael after the Churban Habayis, and then 2 months later, Gedalia ben Achikam was killed. So the rest of the Yidden ran to Mitzrayim. Yirmiyah came with them. So Plato came and studied with him, and that's how he got the Inyan HaAchdus. And we also find by Shloime, Shaya Chacham Mikol Adam, and everybody came to hear his Chachma. Mistami, he spoke about that to them. The Rebbe says not only about Eitz and Avanim, not only about wood, but about creation, and he revealed to them whatever they could. And so too, Negea, the closest Inyan of Chachmas Chitzenius, that in general they are based on Yavan and Mitzrayim, Chachma Yavanis and Chachma Mitzris. So this all came from Chachmas B'nai Yisrael. That's what Rebbe says. All the Chachmas Chitzenius come from the true part of it comes from Chachmas B'nai Yisrael. So even though Umas Ha'olam got the Achdus from Bnei Yisrael, they forgot the Inyan Achdus, and they started the opposite thing, Inyan Apirud. And they kind of dissected, in Christianity and others. And they started saying that every koyach tivi is a koyach niflid. Every power within nature is a separate thing, and the Metzias for itself, against what the Rambam says that everything is interchangeable because it comes from Achdus. Then the Rebbe continues the Sikha that we have the Shis Alfei Shnin, and the Rebbe says at this time, the Umas Ha'olam, it reawakens the Inyan of Achdus, the unity definitely within science, as a preparation for the Achdus La'asid Lavai. The Rebbe says that Lahayr, that there are a few things, many things in the Zohar that it took a long time for the world to reveal, to understand. And at that time, they didn't even want to, go in that direction. He says, an example, the Zohar says, Chelik Gimel, that the world is round, that there's a top half of the world, the bottom half of the world's round, not flat, and that it goes around, it has an orbit. And that's something that science only discovered very recently, relatively, a few hundred years ago. But Zohar always knew it. So that is one Farbrengen. And then just an insight from an interesting Farbrengen, the last of the 4 Farbrengens I'll share. The Rebbe spoke then, let me just open it. Yeah, the Rebbe spoke, it was a Farbrengen then, about Chav Ches Adar. This was in the aftermath of, I think, the Entebbe story. There was a lot in this Farbrengen. The Rebbe spoke about Mashpiyim and this. It's a very, very heavy Farbrengen. And the Rebbe said the reason of this Farbrengen is that we can talk about things of Pesach, and you want to be able to do it in a way that people can hear it, because in Shabbos, only those who are here can hear it. But in Chol, you have the ability through the things of the inventions of the recent generations to be able to hear it all over the world, even Me'ever Layam. And therefore, we're having this Farbrengen 2 days earlier so that it could be heard everywhere in the world. And the Rebbe said, it's understood by Pashtus that it was invented in the last few years, that this Inyan, that the Kol can reach everywhere at this exact same moment you talk. And that's a Dvar Pella, the Rebbe says, because naturally for thousands of years, it took, first of all, it took a long time, but you would think that even now it would take a few moments for it to be heard by the listener. And that the coil would get weaker and weaker, just like when we scream out, the further you are, it gets weakened. But we discovered something within nature that the Eibishter put in within nature, that you could talk in one place and at the same place you could hear it, and it doesn't lose any of its steam. And that is like everything in the world. That whatever there is a good thing, then the Iker Tachlis is to use it for a good thing for Limud HaTorah and mitzvahs. Besides the fact that the whole B'riah was created B'shvil Yisrael, and B'shvil HaTorah, how much more so something so powerful like this Koyach that the Eibishter created, that a voice can reach everywhere. It's understood that the whole Tachlis is for Torah and mitzvahs, so that you can accomplish it and it should get to the person as quickly as possible. Says Marinit, it's only that this Koyach was already created and revealed through Torah, for Torah mitzvahs. In other words, everything was for Torah mitzvahs. However, you can use it because you have Bechira Chavshis for Inyan Yadashus, and even lower than Divrei Yadashus, like Zahav, etc. And the Rebbe says this usage of the Koyach Hanal, Navodas Hashem, is in another Eifin. Ayin Loyev Oisin Shamas. The Rebbe says that you have in this world the ability to not only hear, but to see something that's going on in the time. At that time it was broadcast, television, etc. You could see every single movement, even within Chadre Chadarim. How much more so the Eibishter, who can see everything. And this is a mashal for the Eibishter, that you can actually understand that he sees and understands everything. And Rebbe then said this connects to the fact that I want to talk about Pesach, that everybody should bring these lessons in making sure that the mitzvah Pesach can go in the ultimate success.